Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into something pretty intense, a personal account from the deep web.
Yeah, this one's definitely chilling. It really highlights the dangers lurking just beneath the surface web we all use.
Exactly. We've got this narrative from someone who went down that rabbit hole, and it's a stark warning.
It shows how quickly things can escalate from just, curiosity to something genuinely life-altering.
Right. So let's dive in. Our story starts with a university student. They were really drawn to this whole idea of the deep web.
The promise of ultimate freedom, right? That's
Yeah.
often the hook. Be yourself, say anything, do anything.
Yeah, this concept of totally unfiltered self-expression.
And at the time, it sounds like exploring the deep web was becoming like a trend among their friends.
It was almost a common thing to do, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
That definitely fosters a false sense of security. If everyone's doing it, how bad can it be? That kind of thinking.
And they had heard the scary stories, hacking, surveillance, people getting their home addresses leaked.
All the usual horror stories you hear associated with it.
So they initially stayed away, but seeing all their friends just casually browsing.
Peer pressure, essentially.
Okay.
Or at least normalization. It lowers the perceived risk.
So they decided to try it. A friend helped set up Tor.
Okay, so Tor, that's the browser needed to access these onion sites, anonymizing your connection.
Right. And the friend asked, are you planning anything illegal?
An important question.
The narrator said no. So the friend advised against installing something called Tail.
Ah, Tails. Yeah, that's a whole operating system designed for maximum anonymity. Usually overkill unless you're doing something very sensitive or illegal. The friend basically confirmed that the narrator wasn't planning that.
Gotcha. So new IP address ready to go. And they got some key advice, do's and don'ts.
Crucial advice, I imagine.
Absolutely. The big one. Always keep safe mode enabled on sites like the Hidden Wiki.
The Hidden Wiki being one of those infamous directories, a starting point for many, but it lists everything. Safe mode presumably filters out the really disturbing links.
Exactly. To stop you stumbling onto the worst stuff accidentally. A warning that, sadly, wasn't headed for long. 1 second pause. So for about 2 weeks, the narrator's exploring, feeling pretty good about it.
Like they've got the hang of it. The pro feeling you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Navigating sites, meeting people online, making friends. They even mentioned buying some drugs.
Okay, so already stepping into illicit activities, even if it felt casual. But mostly, it sounds like a sort of hidden online community experience at first.
Right. And that perceived harmlessness, meeting these cool people, as they put it.
That breeds complacency, overconfidence, the feeling that you can handle more.
And that's what happened. And they decided it was time to dig deeper, explore the sketchier part.
Oh,
And what's the first thing they do?
let me guess. Disable safe mode on the Hidden Wiki.
Bingo. Deliberately turned it off. Suddenly, all these new, previously hidden links appear.
Pulling back the curtain, they were specifically warned not to touch. That sense of mastery overriding caution.
Tor was apparently slow, lots of dead links, which is common,
Yeah, the network can be unreliable, sites go down constantly,
but they kept clicking. Persistence.
which unfortunately in this context led them somewhere truly awful. 1 second pause.
They eventually landed on a website called Horrific Blood.
Wow, just the name itself, that's not subtle.
Not at all. Should have been a massive red flag.
Yeah.
But curiosity won out. It was basically a big chat room, different topics.
And the narrator initially felt prepared, like they'd seen gore online before.
Yeah, they thought they were mentally tough enough, seen violent movies, gruesome stuff, but this was different.
How so?
They quickly realized it was, in their words, truly sick. These weren't just edgy teens, they were apparently actual killers bragging.
Bragging about crimes in a chat room.
Yes, and the chat allowed photo uploads. That's when it got really bad.
Oh no.
This one user, Warrior045, starts telling this story, breaking into a home, kidnapping a little girl.
And murdering the parents,
Ugh.
hiding under the bed. This is beyond disturbing.
He detailed taking the girl home, abusing her, beating her, cutting her, just matter-of-factly recounting it.
The detachment is horrifying, like boasting about trophies.
At first, the narrator thought it had to be fake. Who would post this?
A reasonable first reaction, maybe disbelief. But then...
Then Warrior045 started posting photos.
Oh, yeah.
The narrator called them the most terrifying images they'd ever seen. Close-ups of a young girl, 8 to 10 maybe, clear signs of abuse, cuts.
Proof. Irrefutable, sickening proof right there on the screen.
It got worse, more photos, the girl tied to a chair, bleeding, crying.
This is just pure evil broadcasted.
And the final image, Warrior 045 holding a drill to the girl's skull,
No.
actively drilling, and looking right at the camera with, the narrator said, joy on his face.
That detail, the expression. Utterly monstrous. I can't even imagine seeing that. 1 second pause.
So the narrator, completely sickened, finally snaps and types in the chat.
What did they say? I mean, what can you say?
Something like, you people are sick, you deserve to die, how can you sleep? Just raw outrage.
A very human reaction to witnessing pure horror,
Yeah.
but probably risky in that environment.
Extremely risky. The reaction. Mockery. They called the narrator a hopeless child, said this was for adults, real men.
Disgusting. Deflecting. Reinforcing their own warped reality. Attacking the person showing empathy.
Then Warrior 045 singles him out. Oh yeah, where do you live, my friend? We'd love for you to appear on this website.
Wow. Direct threat. Personal.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying escalation.
And the narrator, in what they later called a stupid action, fueled by anger and fear.
Let me guess. Mention the police.
Yep. Typed, I'm calling the police and they will shut this site down.
Oh, that's the mistake. Announcing your intentions to people like that.
Instantly, like just over a minute later, the whole site goes black.
They pulled the plug immediately. Sophisticated control.
A green text box appears. Message from admin 1, call the police and you'll regret it.
Chilling. They were monitoring everything.
The narrator grabs their phone, doesn't reply, and then gets a text. Blank number, just says, call the police and you'll die.
They found their number that fast. Or had it already. That's terrifying confirmation they've been doxxed.
They look back at the laptop. The webcam light is on.
Oh, man. They're being watched. Right down.
On the screen, an image of the narrator looking down at their phone.
Proof of the surveillance in real time. Psychological torture.
They cover the webcam fast, but admin 1 messages again. Put down your phone right now and open your webcam.
Giving direct orders. Total control.
Narrator puts the phone down, but hesitates on the webcam. Big mistake.
What did admin 1 do?
Posted the narrator's real name, age, and home address right there in the chat.
Full doxing.
Yeah.
In front of everyone on that site. Unbelievable.
Followed by, it would be bad if you and your friends disappeared. Threatening loved ones now.
Okay, that's game over. They have everything. Physical leverage.
Terrified, the narrator complies. Uncovers the webcam. Admin 1 then makes them delete specific system files.
Covering their tracks. Or ensuring the narrator couldn't easily report or reconnect. Probably both. Wiping evidence.
Narrator follows every instruction, then gets another blank text. Don't try to come back now.
A final warning?
They immediately called the police after that, but...
The police couldn't find the site, right? It was likely already gone, moved, hidden again.
Exactly. Untraceable. The narrator just felt incredibly foolish, emphasizing the need for serious protection if you ever go near that stuff.
It's a brutal lesson in how quickly anonymity can evaporate, and digital threats can become terrifyingly real. 1 second pause.
So the ordeal doesn't end there. The narrator is plagued by nightmares.
Understandable. That kind of trauma,
Yeah.
it sticks with you.
They move, change all their personal info, trying to escape.
A fresh start, hoping to sever the connection.
The police, as we said, hit a dead end finding the site. Too ephemeral, especially since the narrator just stumbled onto it randomly.
It's like trying to find a specific cloud. These sites can be configured to disappear without a trace.
Their advice: change everything and maybe stay with a friend for safety, acknowledging the real physical danger.
That's serious advice from law enforcement.
So the narrator moves in with a friend, David, described as a good guy, totally uninvolved with the deep web.
A safe haven, hopefully.
Narrator tells David everything. David's horrified, offers them a place to stay. Things seem slightly safer.
A brief moment of security, maybe.
Until one late night, they're both studying. Narrator's phone buzzes, unknown, blank number. Again.
Oh no, not again.
The message: check your computer. Just that.
Simple but terrifying given the history.
They open the laptop, and the mouse cursor starts moving on its own.
Remote access. They're inside the machine, likely installed malware earlier, maybe when they forced the file deletion.
Yeah.
A R8 remote access Trojan.
Exactly. Narrator tries to regain control, nothing works. The intruder starts downloading another file.
Planting more malware, escalating control.
Narrator's powerless. Then in another text, look out the window.
Yeah.
What do they see?
They look out. There's a man in the parking lot leaning against a white van, holding a phone. He looks up at the narrator and nods.
Physical surveillance confirmed. He's right there. That's absolutely terrifying. The proximity.
Then a text tells them to type a specific key combination to launch the newly downloaded software. Trying to trick them into activating it themselves, maybe bypassing some security prompts. Very clever, Very malicious.
Narrator calls David over. David freaks out, calls the police. Narrator refuses to launch the software.
Smart move. Definitely spyware or worse.
Next text. I will come in if you don't comply.
But why not just launch it remotely if they already have control?
Narrator wondered the same thing, but too scared to ask. They were sure it was something nasty. David grabs a baseball bat.
Tensions must have been incredibly high.
About 5 minutes later, they hear the doorknob turning, then loud banging on the door.
He's actually trying to get in.
Seems like it, but when they look out the window again, the man and the van are gone.
A scare tactic. Create panic, then vanish before the police arrive.
Probably. The banging gets louder, then stops. A horrible sound later, footsteps fading away.
What kind of horrible sound?
The narrator didn't specify, just horrible. Then one last text. You turn me on, I will be back.
Ugh. Sick, pure psychological torment.
Police arrive. Tell the narrator to look at the door. Carved into it is the narrator's name.
A physical marking. Leaving a calling card. That's bold and incredibly invasive.
Police investigate the building, even bring in a CIA tech expert for the laptop.
Serious intervention now.
The expert removes the malware but says the laptop's compromised, key files hacked, corrupted, it had to be wiped clean.
Total compromise. Can't trust the hardware anymore.
They checked the phone too, couldn't trace the texts. Police assigned patrols to the area.
Some security, but against an enemy this elusive, it feels inadequate. 1 second pause.
The very next day, the narrator comes home from uni, exhausted. David's not back yet.
Alone in the apartment again.
Goes to their room, lies down, hears a clunk from the closet.
Oh, please no.
Opens eyes, nothing. Settles down again. Then the closet door bursts open, masked man inside.
He got inside the apartment. How?
Unclear how, but he was there, slowly walking towards the narrator.
Nightmare scenario. Absolutely terrifying.
Narrator bolts, runs out, slams the door, gets to their car, drives off like crazy.
Fight or flight kicking in. Smart move to just get away.
Police arrive. Masked man gone, of course. Nothing stolen, apartment not vandalized.
Again, not robbery. It's about terror, control, intrusion, pure intimidation. Police put officers on the building entrances.
Later, the narrator opens the wiped laptop. Or thought it was wiped. The wallpaper's been changed.
To what?
A picture of the masked man, same mask, holding a knife to a child's eye. Looks like he's in a small wooden cabin.
Planting evidence. Or just another layer of psychological horror and a potential clue, the cabin.
All the narrator's personal software is gone again. And right in the middle of the screen, that malicious software from before, it's installed.
So the wipe wasn't complete, or was reinstalled remotely, or maybe even physically when the intruder was inside. They bypassed everything.
They click it, it launches a live stream, can't exit it.
Forced viewing of what?
A young boy, maybe 13 or 14, at his computer, unaware he's being watched through his own webcam.
Oh, God. This is horrifying. Weaponized surveillance.
A chat box pops up. Message. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you, narrator's name, for joining to start this broadcast.
They framed the narrator, used their identity to launch this torture stream.
Exactly. Made it look like they initiated it. Then, as the narrator watches, horrified, the door behind the boy opens.
No.
A man enters with a toolbox, tapes the boy's mouth shut. Boy struggles, muffled screams, home alone, clearly.
This is beyond anything. A live broadcast of an assault.
Narrator's desperately trying to close the software. It won't close. The man starts assaulting the boy horrifically. Screwdriver, hammer.
Oh, my God.
The chat room is cheering him on, demanding worse.
The audience, they're complicit, reveling in it. That's almost as sickening.
The man uses an electric saw, brings it towards the boy's eye, blood everywhere, hits the camera, narrator's crying, helpless.
I have no words. This is just depravity.
He gouges the boy's eye out, cuts his throat, throws the body down.
Unbelievable cruelty.
The narrator vomits, looks back at the chat, comments like, amazing, thank you for doing this.
That audience. Were these people?
The software closes automatically, leaves the horrific wallpaper. Narrator's a wreck, then notices their phone blowing up.
Why? What was happening?
Hateful messages from family, friends. Calls their mom, she's hysterical. Says the narrator sent them the live stream.
They broadcast it to everyone the narrator knew, using their identity.
Yes, framed them completely. Made it look like the narrator shared this snuff film, their life, ruined in minutes.
That's the ultimate violation. Destroying their reputation, their relationships, on top of the trauma. 1 second pause.
So police arrive again. Narrator explains everything.
And this time, the police took it extremely seriously, I hope, with the live stream evidence.
They did. They investigated thoroughly, managed to clear the narrator's name with everyone. The hunt for the perpetrators became a top priority.
Finally, a full-scale response.
About a month later, arrests were made. 4 men.
Did they get the main culprits?
Yes, Warrior 045 was one, Admin 1 was another, plus 2 collaborators.
Wow, they actually found them. That's somewhat rare in these deep web cases.
The website Horrific Blood was located and shut down for good.
Some measure of justice, then. That's huge.
Narrator got a new laptop, new phone, ditched the old ones. And interestingly, no more weird messages, no strange events after the arrests.
Unlike the horror movies,
No.
right? The threat was neutralized once the source was caught.
Exactly. They were caught, dealt with. Narrator doesn't know specifics, prison, or worse.
But the relief must have been immense, knowing they were stopped.
Huge relief. But what really stuck with the narrator, what frightened them more,
Was
a realization that all those people watching the live stream, cheering it on, they're still out there.
the audience for that horror.
Yeah.
The demand side of that equation.
Yeah. And the terrifying thought that there could be many more Warrior 045s out there.
Yeah.
Hidden.
That's the deeper chill, isn't it? Not just the criminals caught, but the unseen network that supports or enjoys such things.
Absolutely. So the final warning from the narrator is crystal clear. If you go near the deep web, be extremely careful.
Understatement of the century. It's not just data privacy. It's potentially your safety, your sanity, your entire life on the line. Vigilance isn't enough. You need serious technical safeguards and an awareness of just how dark it can get. 1 second pause.
And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Wow. Just an incredibly intense and unsettling story.
It really drives home the reality of the risks. It's not theoretical. The consequences can be devastatingly personal and real world.
Absolutely. Access might seem easy and, download Tor, click some links. But the potential cost is enormous. Physical safety, psychological trauma, reputation.
It forces you to think about the layers of the internet we don't normally see and the potential for extreme darkness that anonymity can unfortunately enable.
So as you reflect on this, think about that hidden infrastructure, the dangers, and the importance of digital safety. Stay curious, yes, but above all, stay safe.
Well said. Awareness is the first step.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning and be well.